You feel it too, don't you? That quiet sense that no matter how much we do, no matter how far we go, happiness is always just a step ahead. Even when life gets better, even when we have everything we once wished for, the feeling never lasts as long as we expected. And then you start to wonder, was happiness ever real at all? Or is happiness a lie, an illusion, like they always said? Or maybe happiness was never meant to be something we hold on to. Maybe that's why, no matter how much we have, there's always a space left unfilled within us. Some people call it ambition, some call it drive, or maybe it's fear, the kind we don't talk about. Not the fear of failing, but of stopping. Not the fear of falling behind, but of sitting still long enough to realize there's nothing left to chase. The modern world keeps telling us we're more connected than ever, but if that's true, why do so many of us feel lonelier than ever? Like there's something deeper going on, something we were never meant to notice. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you start to realize just how much of this was never really about the pursuit of happiness at all. And somewhere in between, we were told that happiness is the end goal. If we do the right things, if we make the right choices, if we become the right version of ourselves, then one day we will have the true happiness. But no one really talks about what happens after that. No one really talks about what we do once we are happy. Do we just stay there? Or do we back to the unhappy feelings like the days before? In a lecture about life and music, Alan Watts once said, "We thought of life by analogy with a journey, with a pilgrimage, which had a serious purpose at the end. But the thing was that it was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or dance while the music was being played." Maybe that's the mistake we keep making. We treat happiness like a destination, like a place we can finally rest. But if life is more like music, then happiness was never meant to be a place we reach. It was meant to be something we feel in motion, a rhythm, a moment that exists because of everything that comes before and after it. Maybe that's why happiness never stays, maybe because it was never something to keep. It's only something for us to experience before it moves on. Even when we get everything we once thought would make us whole, it eventually fades into the oblivion like everything else before it. The excitement of something new, or the rush of a dream that's finally coming true, it all never lasts as long as we expect. And apparently, there's a study about this. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, an idea that no matter how big the change is, we always adjust in the end. In 1978, Philip Brickman, Dan Coates, and Ronnie Janoff Bullman observed the lives of lottery winners and accident survivors. The ones who gained everything weren't much happier in the long run, and the ones who lost everything didn't stay broken forever. Because no matter what happens in our lives, we'd return to where we started. They call it the hedonic treadmill, the idea that no matter how fast we run, we never get any closer, because the finish line keeps moving, turning happiness into something that's always one step ahead. This is why our brain never lets us stay satisfied for long. The way our brain's reward system operates also explains why happiness is always temporary. Wolfram Schultz discovered that our brain's reward system works against us in this way, because dopamine, the neurotransmitter that drives pleasure and motivation, doesn't spike when we achieve something. It spikes before we achieve it, in anticipation. The wanting, the craving, the chase, these are what keeps us moving. But the moment we reach what we were chasing, dopamine fades, then the high disappears, and the cycle begins again. For example, try to imagine craving your favorite dessert. Imagine the anticipation, the thought of tasting it, the wait, the build-up. That alone creates a sense of pleasure. But the moment you take that first bite, the high fades quickly. The experience is enjoyable, but it's never as exhilarating as the chase, because dopamine's job isn't to make us happy. Its job is to keep us moving forward. And from an evolutionary standpoint, this all makes sense, because our brain was never designed for lasting happiness. It was designed to keep us chasing it. Our survival depended on always wanting more. Evolutionary psychologists like Douglas Kenrick found that our ancestors had to keep searching to stay alive. If they ever felt permanently satisfied, they would have stopped looking for food, shelter, or safety, which would leave them vulnerable to starvation, predators, or environmental changes. Contentment, in that sense, wasn't an advantage, because the ones who survived were the ones who stayed restless, the ones who always reaching for something just beyond their grasp. And that instinct didn't disappear just because the world changed. We don't have to outrun wild animals or forage for food anymore, but the drive for more never left us. It stays in our subconscious mind, pushing us toward the next goal, the next milestone, the next version of enough that always seems just out of reach. And the need for more isn't a flaw at all, it's something we inherited. But in a world where survival isn't the daily battle it once was, that same instinct can leave us feeling like nothing is ever enough, like happiness is always a step ahead, no matter how far we run. Maybe that's why we keep chasing happiness, not because we're broken, not because we're ungrateful, rather because we were literally wired this way. Maybe that's why some of history's greatest thinkers, such as Aristotle and Frankl, believed that meaning is what sustains us, not happiness. Because fulfillment doesn't come from temporary highs, but from something much, much deeper. Aristotle called it eudaimonia, a kind of well-being that isn't tied to temporary highs. It's not the rush of excitement after something good happens, rather the quiet satisfaction of knowing life is being lived in a way that matters. He believed people find real fulfillment not by chasing pleasure, but by becoming someone they can respect. And this idea is still relevant today. Studies in positive psychology, especially the work of Martin Seligman, show that people who invest in meaning and purpose tend to feel more at peace with their lives. Even Viktor Frankl, a neurologist and psychologist who lived through one of history's darkest times during World War II, witnessed this phenomenon firsthand in the camp. That the people who endured immense hardship weren't always the strongest or the most comfortable, they were the ones who had a reason to keep going, the ones who have something to fight for. So, if chasing happiness only pushes it further away, then maybe we were never supposed to catch it in the first place. Ancient philosophers used to say that happiness isn't about feeling good all the time, it's about how we move through life. Because the more we cling to it, the more fragile it becomes. Happiness isn't something we hold, it's something that moves through us, like light through open hands, like wind that brushes past but never stays. We feel it for a brief moment, and then it's gone, because maybe we weren't meant to hold it at all. Maybe we were only meant to notice it when it's here. And if that's true, then what should we be chasing instead? If happiness isn't it, then what is? It's a weird thought to sit with, isn't it? All this time, it felt like happiness was supposed to be the answer. I don't know the exact answer either, but I don't think it has to be something big. Maybe it's not about being important or doing something that lasts forever. Maybe it's just about having something that makes today feel like it matters, even in the smallest way, like finding a reason to pull the blanket off in the morning, or something that makes the quiet parts of the day feel less empty. Some people find it in their work, some find it in the way they show up for the people they love, some don't know what they're looking for yet, and that's fine too. No one really tells you that figuring it out is part of it, that you don't have to have the answer right now, maybe just by looking for it is enough. We don't need to end everything with a perfect solution. We don't need to tell them what to do, just leave them with something real. We can just leave them with the space between questions and answers, the feeling of searching, or the idea that maybe that's okay. Happiness will always feel like an illusion if we treat it like something to catch. Maybe we were never meant to hold it. Maybe happiness was never something to keep. And if that's true, maybe we were never missing anything at all. And if that's true, maybe the unhappiness you feel right now is just an illusion too.